He was on fire, literally burning alive, and still pulling the trigger. No one believed it at first. A Marine engulfed in flames, refusing to fall. He didn't scream. He didn't stop. He just kept fighting until his rifle melted in his hands. This is not a legend. It happened. His name was Private First Class Charles W. Lindberg, one of the first Marines to land on Iwo Jima, and one of the few to survive the fire that swallowed the island. But this story isn't just about him. It's about every man who carried the weapon no one wanted, the flamethrower. The M2 flamethrower was simple and horrifying. 70 pounds of gasoline strapped to your back, a metal tube in your hands, one pull of the trigger, and you could turn darkness into daylight. It was a weapon of terror, to the enemy and to the man holding it. One wrong move, one stray bullet, and you became the fire. Even the bravest Marines called it a walking bomb. But in 1945, on that black volcanic island, fire was the only thing that could reach where bullets couldn't. February 19th, 1945, the day the world turned black. Iwo Jima, a speck on the map, but the gateway to Japan itself. For America, it was the final stepping stone. For Japan, it was sacred ground, and they would rather die than lose it. The Marines expected a fight on the beach. What they got was silence. No gunfire, no movement, only the hiss of wind through volcanic sand. And then, the ground opened up. Hidden bunkers exploded with flame and steel. Machine guns tore through the first wave. Mortars screamed down from unseen cliffs. Within minutes, hundreds were dead. The survivors clawed for cover, but the sand gave them nothing. That's when Lindberg and his flamethrower unit were called forward. Their mission: burn out the ghosts. The Japanese weren't fighting from the surface anymore. They were underground, in a web of tunnels, bunkers, and chambers so deep you could walk for miles without ever seeing daylight. Every inch of the island was alive, not with men, but with traps. Fire was the only thing that could reach them. Lindberg's unit advanced through the chaos. Explosions shook the ground. The air stank of sulfur and smoke. Every breath tasted like ash. They crawled forward, yard by yard, past bodies half buried in black sand. Each step could have been their last. When his partner went down, shot through the chest, Lindberg didn't stop. He grabbed the fallen man's hose and kept moving. Ahead, pillbox spat machine gun fire. The muzzle flashes looked like lightning inside the dark concrete hole. Lindberg crouched, aimed the nozzle, and squeezed the trigger. A roar of flame burst forward, lighting the tunnel like the mouth of a volcano. Inside, shapes twisted, screamed, and vanished. Then silence. Only the sound of fire breathing. He stood there for a moment, heart pounding, sweat and smoke dripping into his eyes. Then came the shot. A sniper's bullet hit the tank on his back. The explosion threw him forward. Flames wrapped around his body like a living thing. His uniform caught. His helmet glowed red. Men shouted for medics. Someone screamed, "He's gone!" But Lindberg wasn't gone. Through the fire, through the agony that should have ended him, he raised his rifle and fired back. Witnesses said he burned for nearly 10 full seconds before collapsing. 10 seconds of impossible willpower. By the time they reached him, his rifle was fused to his hands. He should have died there, but somehow, he didn't. Doctors called it a miracle. His skin was burned, his body broken, but his pulse was steady. He was evacuated, treated for months, and eventually sent home. He rarely spoke about that day, but in a letter, he once wrote one haunting line. "I felt the fire before I heard it, and I remember thinking, I can't die yet, not here." Lindberg lived, but most of the men who carried fire did not. Out of 335 flamethrower operators who landed on Iwo Jima, only 18 came home alive. The rest were consumed by the same flames they unleashed. Their job wasn't survival, it was sacrifice. They burned so others could move forward. As the days dragged on, the Marines brought in new weapons, flame tanks that could breathe fire 100 yards long. The island became a furnace. Every tunnel burned, every bunker silenced, but every burst of flame erased another name. Each victory cost another soul. For 36 days, the island trembled under bombardment. When it finally ended, Iwo Jima was nothing but ash and bone. Over 7,000 Marines were dead. More than 20,000 Japanese were gone. And beneath the black sand, the tunnels still whispered. Years later, when reporters asked Lindberg about it, he didn't talk about medals or glory. He just said, "I can still smell it. I can still see them." It never really left. He lived quietly after the war, his hands still scarred, reminders of the day he caught fire and refused to fall. He passed away in 2007, never calling himself a hero. He said the real heroes were the ones who didn't come home. Today, if you walk along Iwo Jima's beach at dawn, the sea is calm. The waves lap against black sand that once ran red. There are no screams, no gunfire, only the wind. But some say, if you listen closely, you can still hear the faint crackle of fire beneath the breeze. Maybe it's the volcano, or maybe it's them, the men who carried fire into darkness, the ones who burned and never stopped fighting. Their flames died long ago, but their courage still burns beneath the sand.